Good evening, everyone. Chip Cooper for FTC Guardian and my smiling partner, Alan Cutts, coming to you for the second and final hangout in the month of April. And it looks like, and we keep talking about this, and it's sort of ridiculous, but we've been waiting for springtime for a long time. We get teased a little bit along the way, and then it looks, and then it always sort of goes back to wintertime. But I think we're probably there. In fact, if you look at Alan, the background, that's not his home. He doesn't have a big sun thing with a mirror in the middle. He is on his vacation. He's in a condo at Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. He had some bad weather Monday, but today things really look like springtime for sure. So I'll let Alan share with you a few things he's doing, and then we'll get on with the program.
Yep, I couldn't wait any longer. Winter was just killing me. So we came south to Myrtle Beach yesterday. I started on Saturday, I guess Sunday, and then stopped halfway, dropped our dogs off, and then came on down yesterday. So we're here, and we're going to leave to go down towards Beaufort and like Hilton Head, that area. We're looking for another home. We're looking for a place south to live, and anything between Myrtle Beach and northern border of Georgia is fine with us right now. So
well, let me give you a little hint here, a little clue. There is Beaufort. There is one of those in South Carolina and one in North Carolina. And I'm originally from Eastern North Carolina, and I cannot remember which, but one state calls it Beaufort, and the other state calls it Beaufort. And I can't get it straight.
That must be North Carolina, because that South Carolina is Beaufort with a T. Beaufort.
There you go. All right. So now you've been warned to say it right when you're in the right place.
Yeah, so we're going to head down on Friday for a couple of days and look for a place to live. Look for a new place,
cool.
something.
Cool. That sounds exciting. So let's get on with the program. I'm going to hit the share my screen button, and you tell me if you can see the screen. All right. Okay. So let's get started. I mean, it's a pretty simple topic. Is data scraping legal? And this is a question that's been bandied about for a long time. A lot of litigation, a lot of threats, a lot of demand letters, that sort of thing. But we have a significantly new development last year, 2017. So that's why, in the spirit of keeping you up with all the latest developments, we bring you this hangout on this topic because of the new development that we're going to be talking about in the next few minutes. So here we go. I'm skipping the housekeeping announcement, but you've seen it so many times. The presentation is really for informational purposes only. It's not for legal advice, and we're not affiliated with the Federal Trade Commission. Now, you've seen this iconic image before, and the headline has been "Data is the New Oil." This appeared in The Economist magazine last year. And you can see here the oil rigs, maybe theoretically out in the Gulf somewhere, but instead of pumping oil, they're generating data to be used for digital advertising. Conspicuously absent in this picture, though, is LinkedIn, which is the subject or one of the major parties in this new development. Also, Craigslist, as we'll see in just a minute, has been a frequent source of data scraping. So this is, we all know how important data is, and data scraping is also extremely important in the area of data protection if you're a website such as these that wants to protect it, and also a significant subject for those who want to be able to scrape data and use it for themselves. So to begin, what is data scraping, also known as web scraping? It's really an automated method, usually conducted by bots for extracting large amounts of data from a website. Of course, it saves time from having to go in and do it manually. So basically, you're scraping all this data wholesale from someone else's website, and you're using it for your own business. Now, this image is supposed to represent a hacker. And back in the old days, we talked about these guys as wearing black hats. And this guy is not wearing a black hat, but it's dark gray. And of course, it's got a black hat band. So understand that this is an image representing a hacker. And we're going to talk about the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, which is a federal statute that has been used extensively by websites to combat data scrapers, right? So what is this Computer Fraud and Abuse Act? Without reading this definition, you can read it off the screen, but it is a part of a comprehensive crime control act back in the early 80s that was passed. And the purpose of it, as you can see here, it was designed to protect password protected mainframe computers from hackers, right? So if you had a mainframe computer with a lot of data archived in it, and it was, password protected, you needed a way to protect someone who's basically breaking and entering. I want to go back to this thing. I need to click the back twice. And so that's what the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act is. It prohibits accessing a computer without authorization, basically hacking. If you don't have authorization to be there to access it, you could conceivably be a violator of CFAA, the acronym for Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, or if you have permission to authorization or permission to access it, but you exceed the scope of your authorization, you still could be subject to a claim based on an alleged violation of CFAA. So that's what the Computer Fraud and Abuse Act is all about, obviously designed, as we've just seen, to protect mainframe computers at the time it was enacted. But since that time, it has been used as a major weapon by websites to fight and combat scrapers who are scraping data. Other tactics, including, of course, CFAA, would include breach of contract, usually by terms of service, also copyright infringement. But data itself, if protected at all by copyright, it's protected in terms of a compilation, which is the selection, coordination, and arrangement of data, but not the data itself. So copyright, if it protects compilations of data at all, it's thin protection. So the main protection has been a contract and also the CFAA, breach of contract and CFAA, and that has occurred up until this past year, 2017. Now, Craigslist also has a mountain of data on its websites, and it's been a target of scrapers for a long, long time. And Craigslist has been extremely aggressive in going after people who are scraping data off of Craigslist. There've been a lot of lawsuits filed. There've also been a lot of demand letters and cases that have been settled, never quite made it to the point of actually filing a lawsuit. So this is a very recent example of a case filed by Craigslist against a company known as Instamotor in 2017. And of course, Instamotor was a scraper, scraping the content from Craigslist for use in selling used cars, right? So that was what Instamotor was doing. They were sued by Craigslist. A number of claims, including breach of contract, violation of CFAA, and also a violation of Spam Act because Instamotor disguised emails and sent emails to people who were members of Craigslist. And the case was settled last year, 2017, for $31 million. It was settled by agreement. So this gives you some idea of the way that Craigslist, which is somewhat representative of most big websites that have a lot of data, public-facing data, and this is what's been going on for a long time in terms of the war by websites against data scrapers. However, what you need to understand that also last year, 2017, one of the scrapers got a big break with the U.S. District Court, a U.S. District Court in California, and it's a startup known as HighQ, H-I-Q, versus LinkedIn. LinkedIn, of course, is the target of the scraper in that case, and a big result in favor of HighQ may change the landscape with respect to scraping in the future. So here is the quick summary of what happened. The U.S. District Court in California rules that HighQ can use web scrapers to collect information from public LinkedIn profiles. That's the sort of the nut in a nutshell what happened. But here is what HighQ was doing. They were scraping data, public data off of LinkedIn, and they were using it to create data products that they sell to employers. And there are a lot of people. In fact, I was talking with Alan right before we went live on this presentation, and he personally knows a lot of people who scrape data, who have been scraping data off of LinkedIn. I know a couple myself. In fact, was involved with one as a client who received a demand letter from LinkedIn. So this is a startup, HighQ, that again was scraping data, but was sued, and the district court ruled specifically that LinkedIn couldn't use electronic blocking techniques that were designed to prevent HighQ from scraping the data. In other words, HighQ could scrape the data, and LinkedIn was enjoined from employing any type of defense, including electronic blocking techniques, to prevent it. So now it's open season for HighQ, at least, under this U.S. District Court case. And as you can imagine, LinkedIn immediately appealed this decision up to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. So we're going to have to wait until that case is dealt with there by the Ninth Circuit in order to see if this ruling sticks. So this is the big development that a lot of data scrapers have been waiting for and hoping for a long time. We still don't know if it's going to be upheld by the Ninth Circuit. So we're going to have to wait and see. Now, this is extremely important if you have any interest at all in data scraping, and that is this. The key fact in this particular case involving HighQ was that HighQ scraped only public data that was not protected by any authorization technique, such as passwords. So as long as that is the key fact, and if the HighQ decision at the lower court is upheld, then you've got that window, if you're a scraper, where it's open season on scraping. That is, again, to repeat, scraping public-facing data not protected by an authorization technique such as a password, which would be Craigslist and all of the other similar websites that publish public-facing data that's very valuable to people. So in summary, what this really means to the industry is that that the HighQ case, if upheld by the Ninth Circuit, really portends massive changes to the legal landscape regarding the use of web scrapers or bots to scrape data off these websites. And it also affects how courts in the future will interpret this CFAA and the scope of it, the extent to which CFAA protects these websites from scrapers, right? And there are a number of similar state statutes similar to CFAA that would also be affected if the ruling at the lower court is upheld. And so this one is really big, and the last bullet you see there, it really affects or has the significant potential of affecting how websites such as Craigslist or LinkedIn can control or limit access to their very valuable data, right? That data is worth a lot, but if it can be scraped by anybody who wants to go get it, then the value of LinkedIn is decreased in any other similar website. So that's pretty significant. So in summary, data scraping is an automated method of scraping or extracting large amounts of data from a website, and the CFAA prohibits against accessing a computer without authorization or even in excess of authorization. But the HighQ decision really opens the door, if it's upheld, for scraping public data that's not protected by authorization techniques. So we get to the last bullet, which is the big question, which is, of course, the title of the Hangout: is data scraping now legal? Well, the answer is it may be, but we have to wait and see to see what the Ninth Circuit is going to say about this case. Is it going to uphold it or not? So the answer to the question is in limbo right now, and it's to be determined sometime in the future. And we're going to keep our eyes on it and let you know how that comes out whenever it occurs. So in conclusion, regarding tags that I'm going to affix to this replay video, data scraping, obvious, web scraping, the similar concept that will be there, Computer Fraud and Abuse Act, and also CFAA. So that's what we're going to see is in the form of searchable tags that will generate a link to this Hangout early tomorrow morning when I put it up there. So here I am back on the screen live, and I hope Alan joins me shortly with some questions, and we'll see if we have any questions about this topic or any other questions you might have. The floor is open, and we're here to answer them if you have any.
Yeah, hang on. I replied to the wrong person. I got to reply to Charles. Hang on. Okay, guys, I put the. We don't really have any questions. You need to turn your mic down or something. Again, reverb. Yeah, I'm not getting any questions about this, but early on I posted about the agency training that we're doing on Thursday, and Charles asked about the link. So yeah, the link that I put in the chat box is the registration link. Charles, Wendy, whoever sorry, Wendy, I think I replied to you instead of Charles initially. But yeah, that's the link for the certification that we're going to do Thursday. This is a brand new presentation. Chip just put it together basically over the last 2 weeks. And again, we have our certification program for agencies, and you'll be the first. You'll be first to review it. We right. Haven't done it.
And I'd like to give you one quick little preview, if I might. In talking to people, when Alan and I attend events, and the last one we've attended now twice, we really like it, is Traffic and Conversions, usually in February every year in San Diego. We talk with a lot of agencies. A lot of small agencies are there. They stop by the booth. We chat with them, and we did that this year as well. And one of the misconceptions, and I'm giving away a little bit of one of the slides in this program Thursday, this webinar, is that a lot of agencies think that working for clients in digital advertising is really the same as being a digital marketer selling their own stuff. I mean, I'm a digital marketer. I can sell my own products or services online. I know how to do it. I know how to advertise. I know how to build funnels and bring in traffic and convert traffic. I know that. And so I can go find clients and do that same work for them. And there's really no difference. That's the misconception. There is a massive difference when you move from selling your own products or services as a digital marketer for yourself, and you cross the line into doing it for clients. Huge difference. And that's going to be one of the major takeaways from this webinar on Thursday. So if you're an agency, you really need to know what shifting to clients really entails. And that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. No more about that from me tonight. All right?
Yeah. Okay. We had a couple of questions here. See if there's one here. I saw Misty from Misty. How can I make info on my website safe from scrapers and still attract eyeballs? If it's a WordPress website, and I'm just going to speak from a WordPress standpoint because that's what I know right now off the top of my head, we use something called WordFence and MalSafe. It's not malware. MalSafe, I think. Something like that. And they're both of them are WordPress. I mean, they're not cheap. You know, they're both of them are I don't know, I want to say $100. It's not a lot, but it's $100 a year for each of them, something like that. And what it does is it uh, blocks your website from bots and things like that that are trying to do stuff, whether they're trying to crash it and break in. You wouldn't you wouldn't you wouldn't believe the number of hacks we try to get on our website. It's just the nature of the beast, from Russia and Pakistan and you just name it. Um, but we run WordFence and Malcare. I don't want to say it's called Malcare, to keep everybody blocked out. And again, if it sees anybody trying to collect data or whatever, it blocks them down and blocks them out of our website. So that's something you might want to look at.
Yeah, let me add my 2 cents worth to that. So you need to understand that there's a difference between data, which is really contact information, right? The way you would want to scrape LinkedIn to get email addresses and names, right? So that you can then build a list and market to it, right? There's a difference between scraping that kind of data, which is essentially contact information. Difference between that and copying content, which would be like articles or videos, that sort of thing, because the articles and videos are clearly protected by copyright. So you can steal that stuff, but it's clearly a copyright violation. But the data, the in the form of contact information, if protected at all, which it probably isn't, is very, very thin protection, as I mentioned at the beginning of this presentation. So that's what is the subject of this particular case in data scraping. Data scrapers are not looking for articles or videos. They're looking to build a list. They're looking for names and email addresses. So that's what this case is all about. And also what Alan mentioned is hacking to actually get inside your server and start stealing stuff out of there. That's a little bit different.
No, so I was saying it's the same. Trying to scrape. People can have a website that doesn't have a secure back end, but have data, and it will try to scrape the membership data, whatever. I mean, it's no different than ours. Somebody could try to hack and try to scrape our membership data, and that's the reason we have all these things in place, is so we can scrape membership data.
But let's say this. Let's say that the case is upheld by the Ninth Circuit, and other circuits start picking up on it and uniformly apply CFAA accordingly. Then, we can put in that barrier that Alan's talking about. But if somebody wants to scrape it, they can force us to, open it up, I guess. So
no, they can't force you to open it up. That's going to be illegal. There's no. Well, no, it's our website. They can't force us to open up our stuff. If we have a hole,
to open the website, but they can scrape the data.
But I'm not going to let them in. I mean, they're going to be blocked.
Okay, well, that's exactly what LinkedIn was doing and Craigslist is doing. Yeah. So trust me, the holding of this case was that LinkedIn couldn't use these electronic techniques to block.
Yeah.
So we'll see if it becomes law.
Yeah, it won't work. We had Wendy said, "I have a question."
It won't work as long as the protection is there. But if somebody goes to court and get the same ruling on CFAA, it will. Okay.
Yeah.
But we don't know that yet.
Yeah.
We'll see.
I have a question, Wendy. I have a question about data scraping issues. It seems that there are no laws or regulations in place to prevent it. That's kind of what we just talked about. I mean, there are, but it hasn't been proven yet.
Well, there are laws. I mean, there's copyright law, which really doesn't work. There's CFAA, which has been the major defense that websites have used against data scrapers up until now. And there's been a lot of contention, a lot of litigation, all that. But the breakthrough for scrapers occurred in the U.S. District Court in California with this ruling involving HighQ. That's the first time that CFAA has failed to keep out data scrapers. That's why it's so significant, because it's been the perfect defense for websites for a long time. And a lot of cases have been litigated. This is the first time it hasn't held up to legal scrutiny. That's why it's so significant. That's why we're bringing it to you. So, we'll just have to see what happens.
Okay, I'm answering Maria. I think it's Maria. And I'm letting her know that all the replays are always in the members area.
Yeah, there are two ways to get to the replays. One is there's a link on the right side that says, Hangouts. So you can go there and sort of scroll through all the links and see what you want. The other way is to go to the search area and search one of these tags, such as for this one, CFAA, and it'll pop up this one and probably nothing else, because I don't recall any Hangout in the past mentioning CFAA in a significant way. But if you do a search on ad claim, there'll probably be 5 or 6 replay videos that pop up. So you can do a search or just scroll through, both ways.
Yep. Wendy asked a question. It says, so Alan, do you think the web cybersecurity stuff will work for data scraping? What happens is it takes a account. It keeps track of people who are hitting your website. And if they're coming from the same IP over and over and over, then you'll know to block them. For ours specifically, people are always trying to log into it, right? They're trying to hit it because it's a WordPress site, so they're trying to, use hacks to log into it or whatever. So if they try more than 2 times, I think, matter of fact, if you're a member of FTC Guardian and you try more than 3 times, Chip had this the other day. He tried 3 times to log in and got screwed up or something, and it blocked him out of the website.
Threw me out.
Yeah, threw him out. So if you try to log in, it will block you and you can't get out after 3 times. And then it basically asked me, do you want to ban the IP address and stuff like that? So then it puts it into a sandbox where that IP address can't log in anymore. And then
I called up Alan and had to beg to get back in.
Yeah. So a lot of those sites like that will track the bots and keep them from banging your site. That's what a bot does, right? A bot just keeps hitting it, and trying to pull data. So when it sees it will keep it from doing it. So that's what I would do. That was the final on Wendy's question. Yep. How will we know our sites have data scraping? Yep. And
any others?
If I'm looking, how can we protect our own personal data from being scraped from sites like Facebook? Right at the moment, I don't know of anything that you can do on Facebook that, other than not be on it.
I don't think there's anything.
I know a lot of tools that scrape Facebook. I mean, I just.
If you're there publicly with all your data,
that's why
it can be
you don't want to put your phone number. I mean, I don't even like giving them my phone number whatsoever. So it's, there's not much you can do to not get scraped.
And if you have your photographs there, which everybody has, they put family and friends photographs at the party they attended or the family reunion or the dinner they went to with a couple next door. Now Facebook is using facial recognition and grabbing that so it can recognize you at various other places around the web. So amazing what's going on.
Okay, everybody. I don't see any more questions, and so I just want to go again. The agency presentation will be at 3 o'clock on Thursday. It's the first time Eastern time. It's the first time we've done it. I'm thinking it's going to be an hour 15, something like that. We've never done it before. I'm doing it from a room, my hotel room, condo, whatever you want to call it, here in Myrtle Beach. So internet access. I don't have my monitors set up like I normally do a webinar. I mean, I've got like 3 monitors and everything's all queued up. All I've got is this little bitty laptop. So, I don't really have a lot to work with, but we're going to do it because we just need to get it out there. We need to do it one time to let Chip, present it, because we're going to be presenting it to some, very big audiences, and we've got to get it presented once before we can present it twice. Right. So anyway, the link is there. I put the link in if you're interested in registration. I sent out 2 emails today. Today, the first email I sent out, someone said the link didn't work, and sure enough, the link broke in mail somehow. So I sent out another one. You click it, and you can get registered. for it. And I'll send out another one tomorrow for people who are not registered. I'll send out another email tomorrow so we can get people going. So Maria says, Chip, rocket tomorrow or Thursday. Gloria, yes.
We'll try.
Yeah.
We'll try. And we'd love to have you on that call, and any feedback you might be interested in giving us. And I can tell you, if you are an agency, and the way to tell an agency is, do you have one or more clients that you're doing digital advertising for? You really need to watch it. I think you'll be amazed at what we present. But anyway, we'll see.
Yep. Okay. Missy says something. How does this affect the European information regarding protection? I don't know. The data.
Well, that's a good question. I mean, obviously, the companies that are collecting the data, LinkedIn in this particular case, with respect to the HighQ case, they are data controllers. They need to, in order to comply with GDPR, which of course LinkedIn is regulated by, they've got to provide a lot of choice to EU data subjects. They've got to protect the data, all sorts of issues like that. And then they've got to enter into DPAs with people they outsource to, the hosting provider, all sorts of other service providers. So there's a whole range of issues they've got to deal with. It's interesting to it's interesting. I guess what you're asking is, what are their obligations with respect to protection of this data? Because this case opens the door to taking it, right? I don't really know the answer to that. I think when these websites, and let's talk about LinkedIn because that was the subject of this case, when they present the choices to people who sign up, do you want us to publish this information? Well, a membership in LinkedIn is worthless unless the information is published, right? I mean, it's there. It's sort of like a resume, a professional resume for people who are looking for jobs or looking for partners or whatever, looking to sell things. So it's no good if it's not published. So if a data subject says, yes, I want it to be published, then they're subject to, whatever the legal system allows other people to scrape and acquire, right? And right now there's a big question about, data scraping, but, there is at least the door cracked open to allowing it to be done and not be protected by CFAA, again, subject to further judicial review, specifically in this case by the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which, as we know, is an extremely liberal court. And by the way, the judge in this particular case really didn't like the fact that that this data was made public, but still protected from people who wanted to take it. And it's sort of like this part of the internet that says data should be free or data wants to be free. Right.
Yeah.
It was sort of that concept, and that sort of led to this decision. And I've read part of the decision, and it seems to be pretty well reasoned. I mean, I can't say that I disagree with it that much. So very, very interesting to see how it eventually turns out, and we'll let you know. We'll keep you posted. All right. Is that it? Do we have?
Nope.
All right. Very well. Well, thanks for joining us, and have a great evening. And we'll hope to see you on Thursday at the agency webinar. Good night, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
Here we go.